Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. CNN. 1-1. Trump's Iran deal greeted with skepticism and scrutiny on Capitol Hill. The United States and Iran have reportedly reached a framework agreement to end their 106-day conflict and reopen the strategic Strait of Hormuz. President Donald Trump celebrated the deal as a historic diplomatic breakthrough, preparing for a ceremonial signing event later this week. Despite the overwhelming optimism emanating from the White House, the deal has been greeted with significant skepticism and intense scrutiny on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are demanding more concrete details, particularly regarding how the agreement addresses Iran's highly enriched uranium and nuclear capabilities. Critics argue that without strict guardrails and independent inspections, the promises made by Tehran remain questionable. Vice President J.D. Vance, however, defended the negotiations, insisting that the diplomatic relationship with Iranian officials is now fundamentally transformed. Vocabulary. Framework. Noun. 뼈대, 기본 틀. They agreed on a framework for the peace treaty. Strategic. Adjective. 전략적인. The strait is a highly strategic waterway for global oil. Breakthrough. Noun. 돌파구. 큰 발전. The New Deal represents a major diplomatic breakthrough. Optimism. Noun. 낙관론. 낙관주의. There is cautious optimism about the economic recovery. Skepticism. Noun. 회의론. 의구심. The politicians' promises were met with skepticism. Scrutiny. Noun. 철저한 조사. 정밀 검사. The budget will be subjected to intense scrutiny. Lawmaker. Noun. 입법자, 국회의원. Lawmakers are demanding more transparency in the bill. Concrete. Adjective. 구체적인, 실체가 있는. We need concrete evidence to prove the theory. Guardrail. Noun. 안전장치, 보호대. The policy lacks the necessary guardrails to prevent fraud. Fundamentally. Adverb. 근본적으로. The internet has fundamentally changed how we communicate. 시사용어 해설. 스트레이트 오브 호르무즈. 호르무즈 해역. 중동의 원유가 전 세계로 수출되는 가장 중요한 해상 통로입니다. 이곳이 막히면 전 세계 석유 공급에 큰 차질이 생겨 유가가 급등하게 됩니다. 엔리치드 유라늄, 농축 우라늄. 자연 상태의 우라늄을 가공하여 핵무기나 원자력 발전소의 연료로 사용할 수 있도록 만든 물질입니다. 1-2. CNN headlines. U.S.-Iran finally settle on a deal and a comprehensive deal to halt hostilities. The official signing ceremony is slated to take place in Switzerland, marking a significant de-escalation of the 15-week conflict. The primary component of the agreement involves reopening the Strait of Hormuz and lifting the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports. Analysts note that this essentially resets the crucial waterway to its pre-war operational status, easing global market anxieties. Following this initial breakthrough, a tense 60-day negotiation period will commence to tackle the much harder issues regarding Iran's nuclear program and broader regional stability. The global community remains watchful to see if both nations adhere strictly to the preliminary terms. Vocabulary. Comprehensive. Adjective. 포괄적인, 종합적인. The school offers a comprehensive training program. Hostility. Noun. 적대감, 적대행위. They agreed to a ceasefire and an end to all hostilities. Slate. Verb. 예정하다, The new movie is slated to be released next month. De-escalation. Noun. 단계적 축소, 완화. Diplomatic talks led to a rapid de-escalation of the crisis. Component. Noun. 요소, 부품. Trust is a vital component of any healthy relationship. Blockade. Noun. 봉쇄, 차단. The Navy imposed a strict blockade on the enemy's ports. Essentially. Adverb. 본질적으로, 근본적으로. What he is saying is essentially true, despite some errors. Anxiety. Noun. 불안, 염려. The news of the economic downturn caused widespread anxiety. Tackle. Verb. 다루다, 씨름하다. The government needs to tackle the issue of youth unemployment. Adhere. Verb. 고수하다, 들러붙다. All staff must strictly adhere to the company's safety guidelines. 시사 용어 해설. Blockade. 봉쇄. 군사력을 이용해 적국의 항구나 해안을 차단하여 물자, 무기, 인력 등이 들어오거나 나가지 못하게 막는 전술입니다. De-escalation. 긴장 완화. 전쟁이나 분쟁 상황에서 군사적 충돌의 강도나 규모를 점진적으로 줄이고 평화적 해결을 모색하는 과정을 뜻합니다.
1-3. Dozen killed after a Missouri plane crashes. A horrific tragedy unfolded in Missouri when a skydiving plane crashed, killing all 12 people on board. Authorities have solemnly described it as one of the deadliest skydiving incidents in the United States in several decades. The sudden plunge of the aircraft left no survivors, plunging the local community and the victims' families into deep mourning. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, quickly dispatched a specialized team to the crash site to conduct a thorough investigation. Investigators will meticulously analyze the flight data and examine the wreckage to determine the underlying mechanical or human causes of the disaster. For now, aviation experts are cautiously waiting for the official preliminary report before drawing any definitive conclusions. Vocabulary. Horrific. Adjective. 끔찍한, 소름 끼치는. The news of the horrific accident shocked everyone. Tragedy. Noun. 비극, 참사. The earthquake was a massive tragedy for the nation. Solemnly. Adverb. 엄숙하게, 진지하게. The president solemnly announced the declaration of war. Plunge. Noun. Verb. 급락, 추락하다. The stock market experienced a sudden plunge today. Dispatch. Verb. 파견하다, 발송하다. The fire department dispatched 3 engines to the scene. Thorough. Adjective. 철저한, 빈틈없는. They conducted a thorough search of the entire building. Meticulously. Adverb. 꼼꼼하게, 세심하게. She meticulously arranged the flowers in the vase. Wreckage. Noun. 탄해, 파편. Rescue workers searched through the wreckage for survivors. Underlying. Adjective. 근본적인, 밑에 있는. Stress is often the underlying cause of many illnesses. Definitive. Adjective. 확정적인, 최종적인. We need definitive proof before making an accusation. NTSB. 미국 국가교통안전위원회. 미국의 항공, 고속도로, 해상, 철도 등에서 발생하는 모든 주요 교통사고를 독립적으로 조사하고 원인을 규명하여 안전 권고안을 내놓는 연방 정부 기관입니다. 2. BBC 2-1. Britain will ban under 16s from social media apps. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has firmly declared that the government will ban children under 16 from using various social media applications, mirroring recent legislation in Australia. The comprehensive ban is set to target tech giants like Meta and TikTok, obligating them to prevent underage access or face multi-million-dollar fines. Starmer insisted that social media is visibly making children unhappy and causing significant distress to families across the nation.
Although over 90% of respondents in a recent survey supported the ban, critics argue that policing devices technically is nearly impossible and easily circumvented. Furthermore, communication experts warned that a blanket restriction might push kids toward less regulated, anonymous, and far more dangerous corners of the internet. Vocabulary. Firmly, adverb. 단호하게, 굳게. She firmly believed that her decision was the right one. Mirror, verb. 반영하다, 거울처럼 보여주다. The new law mirrors the legislation passed in Europe last year. Legislation, noun. 입법, 제정된 법률. The government introduced new legislation to cut carbon emissions. Obligate, verb. 의무를 지우다, 강제하다. The contract obligates the company to complete the work by May. Distress, noun. 고통, 괴로움. The loss of his job caused him a great deal of financial distress. Respondent, noun. 응답자. Nearly half of the respondents preferred the new design. Circumvent, verb. 피하다, 우회하다. Hackers found a way to circumvent the system's security. Blanket, adjective. 전면적인, 일괄적인. The company issued a blanket ban on smoking in the building. Anonymous, adjective. 익명인, 이름을 모르는. The donation was made by an anonymous benefactor. Corner, noun. 구석, 외딴 곳, 비유적. They explored the dark corners of the deep web. 시사용어 해설. Blanket restriction, 일괄 규제, 전면 통제. 예외를 두지 않고 특정 대상 전체에 대해 동일하게 덮어 씌우듯 blanket, 적용하는 규제를 의미합니다. Tech giants, 거대 기술 기업. 구글, 메타 페이스북, 틱톡 등 세계 경제와 디지털 시장에 막대한 영향력을 행사하는 대형 IT 플랫폼 기업들을 부르는 말입니다.
2-2. U.S. and Iran agree deal to end war. Following intense international mediation, the United States and Iran have tentatively agreed on a framework deal to officially end their months-long military confrontation. Under the agreement, both nations will extend their current ceasefire for an additional 60 days, during which complex negotiations regarding the future of Iran's nuclear program will occur. The immediate global impact of the deal involves the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical maritime choke point that has heavily disrupted global energy supplies and caused oil prices to fluctuate. European leaders universally welcomed the diplomatic breakthrough, urging a swift and thorough implementation of the peace terms to stabilize the region. Nevertheless, tensions remain palpable as hardliners in both countries express deep dissatisfaction with the mutual concessions made. Vocabulary. Mediation, noun. 중재, 조정. The dispute was resolved through international mediation. Tentatively, adverb. 잠정적으로, 시험적으로. The meeting is tentatively scheduled for next Tuesday. Confrontation, noun. 태치, 대립. A violent confrontation broke out between the protesters and police. Maritime, adjective. 바다에, 해상에. The country has a long and proud maritime history. Choke point, noun. 병목 구간, 요충지. The canal acts as a crucial choke point for global shipping. Fluctuate, verb. 변동하다, 오르내리다. Vegetable prices fluctuate according to the season. Universally, adverb. 보편적으로, 전 세계적으로. The scientist is universally recognized for his groundbreaking work. Palpable, adjective. 뚜렷한, 만져질 듯한. The tension in the room was almost palpable. Hardliner, noun. 강경파. Political hardliners refused to accept the peace treaty. Concession, noun. 양보, 인정. Both sides had to make significant concessions to reach an agreement. 시사용어 해설. Ceasefire, 휴전, 정전. 교전 중인 국가들이 협상을 진행하기 위해 일시적으로 군사적 공격을 멈추는 것을 말합니다. 정전, 평화 협정으로 가기 위한 필수적인 첫 단계입니다. Maritime choke point, 해상 요충지, 병목 구간. 선박이 반드시 지나가야 하지만 폭이 매우 좁아 적은 병력이나 해상 봉쇄만으로도 해상 교통 전체를 마비시킬 수 있는 좁은 해협을 의미합니다. 2-3. David Lammy tells J.D. Vance he's wrong over immigration. UK Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy boldly confronted U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance during a recent high-stakes phone call, directly addressing Vance's highly controversial remarks on immigration. Vance had previously suggested publicly that mass migration was entirely to blame for a recent high-profile murder in the UK, a comment that sparked significant backlash across Europe. Lammy bluntly told Vance that his assessment was factually wrong and that scapegoating immigrants for isolated criminal acts only serves to fuel societal division. The diplomatic friction perfectly highlights a growing ideological divide between conservative American figures and European leaders over border control policies. Political analysts suggest that such transatlantic rhetorical sparring may increasingly complicate bilateral relations in the coming years. Vocabulary. Boldly. Adverb. 대담하게, 용감하게. She boldly stepped forward to answer the difficult question. Confront. Verb. 맞서다, 직면하다. You must confront your fears to overcome them. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The new law has been highly controversial among the public. Backlash. Noun. 반발, 반진동. The company faced a huge consumer backlash after the price hike. Bluntly. Adverb. 직설적으로, 퉁명스럽게. He spoke bluntly about the failure of the project. Scapegoat. Verb. Noun. 희생양으로 삼다. 희생양. Minority groups are often scapegoated during economic crises. Isolated. Adjective. 고립된. 이례적인. This was an isolated incident, not a widespread problem. Friction. Noun. 마찰. 갈등. There has been a lot of friction between the two departments lately. Ideological. Adjective. 이념적인. 사상적인. The debate was driven by deep ideological differences. Rhetorical. Adjective. 수사적인. 말뿐인. His speech was full of rhetorical flourishes but lacked substance. Vocabulary note. Mass migration. 대규모 이민, 이주. 전쟁, 기근, 경제적 이유 등으로 한 번에 아주 많은 수의 사람들이 국경을 넘어 다른 나라로 이동하는 현상을 뜻합니다. Transatlantic. 대서양 양안에. 대서양을 사이에 둔 지역, 보통 북미 지역, 미국, 캐나다와 유럽 대륙 간의 관계나 협력, 갈등을 지칭할 때 자주 쓰이는 외교 용어입니다.
3. ABC Australia. 3-1. Closing the door. Why Chinese investment is collapsing in Australia. Chinese foreign direct investment into Australia has plummeted so drastically that it no longer ranks in the top 10 sources of foreign capital for the nation. The total stock of Chinese investment has fallen by a quarter since 2019, now accounting for less than 3% of total foreign investment in the country. A recent comprehensive report reveals that while global trends and Beijing's domestic policies play a role, specific policy shifts in Canberra are cited as the decisive factor behind this rapid retreat. Australian authorities have increasingly prioritized national security, casting more Chinese corporate proposals as contrary to the national interest. Consequently, industry participants widely describe the current screening system as a cumbersome black box that severely lacks both transparency and predictability. Vocabulary. Plummet. Verb. 곤두박질치다. 급감하다. House prices have plummeted in the past few months. Drastically. Adverb. 급격하게. 과감하게. The company's profits dropped drastically this quarter. Decisive. Adjective. 결정적인. 결단력 있는. She played a decisive role in the team's victory. Retreat. Noun/verb. 후퇴. 철회하다. The army was forced to make a strategic retreat. Prioritize. Verb. 우선순위를 매기다. You need to prioritize your tasks to manage your time well. Contrary. Adjective. 에 반대되는, 상반되는. The results were contrary to our initial expectations. Consequently. Adverb. 결과적으로, 따라서. It rained heavily, and consequently, the match was cancelled. Cumbersome. Adjective. 크고 무거운, 다루기 힘든. The application process was very slow and cumbersome. Transparency. Noun. 투명성, 명백함. The charity is praised for its financial transparency. Predictability. Noun. 예측 가능성. The predictability of the weather makes farming easier here. FDI. 외국인 직접 투자. 외국 기업이나 개인이 경영 참여나 기술 제휴 등을 목적으로 다른 나라의 기업에 자본을 직접 투자하여
공장을 짓거나 지분을 인수하는 것을 뜻합니다. 스크리닝 시스템, 심사 시스템. 외국 자본이 국내의 주요 인프라나 중요 기술 기업을 인수하려 할 때 이것이 국가 안보에 위협이 되지 않는지 정부가 미리 꼼꼼히 조사하고 허가하는 절차입니다.
3-2. Coalition and labor locked in close race as one nation surges. A recent Roy Morgan poll reveals a tightening political landscape in Australia, with the governing Labour Party maintaining a narrow lead over the Liberal National Coalition on a two-party preferred basis. The comprehensive survey indicated Labour at 54.5% compared to the coalition's 45.5%, showing a slight dip in overall government support. Interestingly, the right-wing populist party One Nation has seen a noticeable surge in voter intention, strategically capitalizing on widespread public frustration. Political commentators suggest that soaring construction costs, severe housing unaffordability, and general cost of living pressures are driving voters away from the major establishment parties. This significant shift signals potential electoral volatility as the country gradually gears up for future federal elections. Vocabulary. Landscape. Noun. 풍경. 정치, 사회적 지형. The political landscape has changed drastically this year. Narrow. Adjective. 좁은. 아슬아슬한. The candidate won the election by a very narrow margin. Dip. Noun. 살짝 내려감. 하락. There was a slight dip in temperatures overnight. Populist. Adjective. Noun. populism이. 대중주의자. The populist leader promised to give power back to the people. Surge. Noun. Verb. 급증하다. 밀려듦. There has been a sudden surge in demand for electric cars. Capitalize on. Verb. 무엇을 이용하다. 기회로 삼다. They capitalized on their opponent's mistakes to win the game. Soar. Verb. 치솟다. 급등하다. Housing prices have continued to soar in major cities. Establishment. Noun. 기득권층, 지배층, 설립. The young voters are rebelling against the political establishment. Volatility. Noun. 변동성, 불안정. Market volatility makes it hard to predict future stock prices. Gear up. Phrasal verb. 준비를 갖추다. The factory is gearing up for increased production next month. 시사용어 해설. Two-party preferred. 양당 선호도. 호주 등에서 쓰이는 선거제도로 군소정당의 1순위 투표를 한 유권자들의 2순위 선호표를 거대 양당, 노동당 vs 연립당 중 어느 쪽으로 흘러가는지 합산하여 최종 지지율을 계산하는 방식입니다. Cost of living, 생활비, 주거, 식료품, 통신비, 에너지 등 일상생활을 영위하는 데 필요한 기본적인 체감 물가를 뜻합니다. Number 3. 3. Cuppa and chat to pay tribute to beloved slain cop. The Tasmania Police and the close-knit local Ulverstone community gathered to honor the memory of Constable Keith Smith exactly 1 year after his tragic death in the line of duty. The 57-year-old officer was fatally shot while bravely serving a home repossession order at a rural property in June 2025. To pay tribute to his lasting legacy of compassion and dedicated service, residents held a special memorial centered around a friendly cuppa and chat. Colleagues fondly remembered Smith for his deeply caring manner and unwavering commitment to keeping the neighborhood safe. Local authorities also proudly announced that a public laneway would be named after him to ensure his ultimate sacrifice is never forgotten. Vocabulary. Honor. Verb. 기리다. 예우하다. A ceremony was held to honor the brave firefighters. Tragic. Adjective. 비극적인. The play tells the tragic story of a young prince. Fatally. Adverb. 치명적으로. 2 passengers were fatally injured in the car crash. Repossession. Noun. 할부금 미납에 따른 압류, 회수. The bank ordered the repossession of his car due to unpaid loans. Tribute. Noun. 헌사, 추모, 경의. People left flowers at the site as a tribute to the victims. Legacy. Noun. 유산, 남겨진 업적. The scientist left behind a rich legacy of discovery. Compassion. Noun. 연민, 동정심. She showed immense compassion for the homeless animals. Unwavering. Adjective. 확고한, 흔들림 없는. He thanked his family for their unwavering support. Sacrifice. Noun. 희생. Parents often make great sacrifices for their children's future. Rural. Adjective. 시골에, 농촌에.
They decided to move away from the city to a quiet rural area. 시사용어 해설. In the line of duty, 임무 수행 중. 군인, 경찰, 소방관 등이 자신의 공적인 직무를 수행하는 과정에서 발생한 일, 주로 부상이나 사망을 표현할 때 쓰는 엄숙한 표현입니다. cuppa, 한 잔의 차. cup of tea를 줄여 부르는 영국, 호주식 구어체 표현입니다. 따뜻한 차나 커피를 마시며 이웃과 편안하게 대화하는 호주 특유의 문화를 잘 보여줍니다.
4. The Korea Times. 4-1. Global shippers cautious on Hormuz transit despite U.S.-Iran deal. Global shippers across Asia and Europe remain highly cautious about resuming transit through the Strait of Hormuz, despite a newly announced U.S.-Iran framework deal aimed to reopen the vital waterway. Global oil prices tumbled approximately 5% on Monday as financial markets quickly reacted to the anticipated ease in energy supply chains. President Donald Trump posted on social media that the strait is now totally safe, secure, and pristine, and that commercial ships are moving freely. However, active vessel tracking data showed no significant wave of tankers crossing the strait immediately, aside from one isolated LNG carrier. Shipping companies have stated that confidence will take weeks to rebuild, as they are waiting for explicit details regarding the clearance of naval mines and evidence of sustained peace. Vocabulary. Cautious. Adjective. 조심스러운, 신중한. The government is taking a cautious approach to the economic crisis. Transit. Noun. 통과, 환승, 수송. The goods were damaged while in transit. Tumble. Verb. 폭락하다, 굴러떨어지다. Stock prices tumbled after the disappointing earnings report. Anticipated. Adjective. 예상되는, 기대하던. The highly anticipated movie finally premiered last night. Pristine. Adjective. 자연 그대로의, 오염되지 않은. The beach was completely pristine, with white sand and clear water. Vessel. Noun. 선박, 배, 혈관. A large cargo vessel was seen leaving the port. Explicit. Adjective. 명백한, 뚜렷한. The teacher gave explicit instructions on how to complete the assignment. Clearance. Noun. 제거, 정리, 승인. The clearance of the debris took several days. Naval. Adjective. 해군의, 바다의. A large naval fleet was deployed to the region. Sustained. Adjective. 지속적인. The economy needs sustained growth to create new jobs. 시사용어 해설. Transit. 포항, 수송. 배나 화물이 어느 한 지역이나 해협을 멈추지 않고 지나쳐가는 과정을 말합니다. 국제무역에서 통항의 자유는 물류비 절감과 직결됩니다. Naval mines, 기뢰. 바닷속이나 수면에 설치해두고 배가 접근하거나 물리적으로 닿으면 폭발하도록 만든 해상 지뢰입니다. 전쟁 후 해협을 다시 열려면 이 기뢰를 안전하게 제거하는 소해 작업이 필수적입니다. 4.2. Protecting the First Amendment. Jawbone Act. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution is receiving crucial bipartisan support through the newly introduced Jawbone Act. Drafted jointly by Republican Senator Ted Cruz and Democratic Senator Ron Wyden, the legislation aims to hold the federal government strictly accountable for indirect censorship and infringements on free speech. The authors argue that bureaucrats have frequently crossed the line by pressuring private tech companies to censor what they subjectively label as misinformation. If successfully passed, the bill will create an explicit cause of action, making it substantially easier for aggrieved U.S. citizens to sue government agencies over free speech violations. Plaintiffs could potentially seek both financial damages and reasonable attorney fees if their constitutional rights were demonstrably quashed. Vocabulary. Amendment. Noun. 헌법 수정 조항, 개정안. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech. Bipartisan. Adjective. 양당의, 초당적인. The new infrastructure bill received bipartisan support. Accountable. Adjective. 책임이 있는. Politicians must be held accountable for their actions. Infringement. Noun. 침해, 위반. Downloading pirated movies is an infringement of copyright. Bureaucrat. Noun. 관료. The complex system is run by thousands of government bureaucrats. Label. Verb. 딱지를 붙이다, 분류하다. The media label him as a radical thinker. Aggrieved. Adjective. 억울해하는, 피해를 입은.
The aggrieved customers demanded a full refund. Sue. Verb. 고소하다, 소송을 제기하다. He threatened to sue the company for negligence. Plaintiff. Noun. 원고, 고소인. The plaintiff's lawyer presented compelling evidence in court. Quash. Verb. 억누르다, 진압하다. The dictator used the army to quash the rebellion. 시사용어 해설. First Amendment. 미국 수정헌법 제1조. 종교, 언론, 출판, 집회, 청원의 자유를 보장하는 미국의 가장 핵심적인 헌법 조항입니다. Cause of action. 소송 원인. 법률 용어로 개인이 법원에 소송을 제기하여 법적 구제를 받을 수 있는 정당한 사실적, 법적 근거를 말합니다. 이 법안은 검열 피해자가 국가를 고소할 수 있는 확실한 명분, 근거를 법으로 만들어준다는 의미입니다.
433. The Griffin MSI and Obama Center, creating a new chapter. Something truly extraordinary is unfolding on Chicago's South Side as two monumental cultural institutions combine forces. The Griffin Museum of Science and Industry, MSI, a cornerstone of public learning for nearly a century, is actively partnering with the newly built Obama Presidential Center. To ensure a flawless grand opening for the center on June 19, the MSI deliberately closed its doors to the public on June 18. Together, these world-class institutions are expected to draw millions of visitors annually, transforming a single public park into an unparalleled hub for arts, civics, and science. Community leaders assert that this vibrant collaboration will attract new energy and abundant economic opportunities to the historically underserved South Side neighborhood. Vocabulary. Extraordinary. Adjective. 비범한, 놀라운. She has an extraordinary talent for playing the piano. Unfold. Verb. 펼쳐지다, 전개되다. As the movie progressed, a complex plot began to unfold. Monumental. Adjective. 기념비적인, 엄청난. Building the pyramids was a monumental task. Cornerstone. Noun. 초석, 주춧돌. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of a democratic society. Flawless. Adjective. 흠없는, 완벽한. The gymnast performed a flawless routine to win the gold medal. Deliberately. Adverb. 의도적으로, 고의로. He deliberately ignored my message because he was angry. Unparalleled. Adjective. 비할 데 없는, 전례 없는. The athlete achieved unparalleled success in her sport. Hub. Noun. 중심지, 중추. Silicon Valley is a global hub for technological innovation. Vibrant. Adjective. 활기찬, 생동감 넘치는. The city is known for its vibrant nightlife and culture. Abundant. Adjective. 풍부한. The region has an abundant supply of freshwater resources. 시사용어 해설. Civics, 시민의식, 공민학. 시민으로서의 권리와 의무, 그리고 민주주의 정부가 어떻게 작동하는지에 대해 배우는 학문이나 개념을 의미합니다. 오바마 대통령 센터가 민주주의와 시민 참여 교육을 강조함을 보여줍니다. Number 5. The Korea Herald. Number 1. Trade Minister discusses U.S. forced labor-linked tariffs. South Korea's Trade Minister, Ye Han-koo, convened a critical meeting with relevant ministry officials to devise strategic countermeasures against newly proposed U.S. tariffs. The urgent discussions were prompted by the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, USTR, which threatened to impose 10 to 12.5% tariffs on products from 60 trading partners, including South Korea. Washington explicitly alleges that these nations have failed to adequately enforce bans on importing goods produced through forced labor. During the meeting, officials carefully assessed the ongoing bilateral negotiations with Washington and explored vital follow-up measures to shield the domestic economy. For Asia's fourth-largest economy, heavily reliant on international exports, resolving this trade friction quickly is considered absolutely paramount. Vocabulary. Convene. Verb. 회의 등을 소집하다. The board of directors will convene tomorrow to discuss the merger. Devise. Verb. 고안하다, 마련하다. We need to devise a new strategy to increase sales. Countermeasure. Noun. 대응책, 대책.
The military deployed countermeasures to intercept the missile. Tariff. Noun. 관세. The government imposed high tariffs on imported steel. Allege. Verb. 혐의를 제기하다. The prosecutor alleges that the mayor accepted bribes. Adequately. Adverb. 적절히. 충분하게. The building was not adequately equipped for a fire emergency. Enforce. Verb. 집행하다. 강요하다. The police are working hard to enforce the new traffic laws. Shield. Verb. 보호하다. 방패막이가 되다. She wore sunglasses to shield her eyes from the bright sun. Friction. Noun. 마찰. 충돌. Trade friction between the two countries has escalated recently. Paramount. Adjective. 가장 중요한. 최고의. Safety is of paramount importance in this factory. 시사용어 해설. USTR. Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. 미국 무역 대표부. 미국의 통상 교섭과 무역 정책을 총괄하는 대통령 직속 국가기관입니다. 미국의 경제적 이익을 지키기 위해 외국 정부와 무역 협상을 벌이거나 압력을 행사합니다. Forced labor. 강제 노동. 개인의 자유 의지에 반하여 강압적으로 노동을 시키는 현대판 노예제도. 예, 특정 독재 국가나 분쟁 지역의 강제 노역으로 국제사회와 미국은 이를 심각한 인권 침해로 간주하여 관련 제품의 수입을 전면 금지하고 있습니다.
5-2. Singer Lim Young-woong donates 200 million won on his birthday. Beloved South Korean singer Lim Young-woong celebrated his birthday by making a highly generous donation of 200 million won, $132,200, to Korea University Medicine. Lim and his agency, Mulgogi Music, each contributed 100 million won, respectfully making the donation under the name of his dedicated fan base, the Hero Generation. Throughout his stellar music career, the singer has consistently marked his birthdays by supporting vulnerable demographics, disaster relief efforts, and adolescent programs. The hospital administration confirmed that the funds will directly cover essential medical treatment costs for low-income patients across its Onam, Goro, and Onsan branches. Such philanthropy clearly highlights the positive social influence that popular entertainers can wield in modern society. Vocabulary. Generous. Adjective. 관대한. 넉넉한. She made a generous donation to the local orphanage. Respectfully. Adverb. 정중하게. 공손하게. He respectfully declined the invitation to the event. Dedicated. Adjective. 헌신적인. The dedicated teacher stayed late to help her students. Stellar. Adjective. 눈부신. 별에. The actor gave a stellar performance in his latest movie. Vulnerable. Adjective. 취약한. 상처받기 쉬운. The elderly are particularly vulnerable to the extreme cold. Demographic. Noun. 인구 집단. 계층. This marketing campaign targets a younger demographic. Adolescent. Noun. Adjective. 청소년. 청소년기에. The program helps adolescents deal with mental health issues. Administration. Noun. 행정부. 관리. The hospital administration implemented new safety protocols. Philanthropy. Noun. 자선활동. 박애주의. His philanthropy has funded numerous schools and hospitals. Wield. Verb. 권력. 영향력을 행사하다. The CEO wields enormous power within the corporation. 시사용어 해설. Philanthropy. 자선활동. 단순히 돈을 한 번 기부하는 것을 넘어 인류의 복지 증진을 위해 거액의 자금을 체계적으로 지원하고 사회적 가치를 창출하는 박애주의적 활동 전체를 의미합니다.
5-3. KakaoBank eyes bigger role in Mongolia's digital banking push. KakaoBank is actively setting its sights on overseas expansion by discussing a significantly larger role in Mongolia's ongoing digital banking push. On Monday, KakaoBank CEO Young Ho Young met with Narensokt Sanja, the governor of the Bank of Mongolia, along with key executives from Mongolia's MCS Group at the lender's Pangyo headquarters. During the fruitful talks, KakaoBank proudly showcased its cutting-edge digital platform, customer-focused user interfaces, and robust data-driven credit assessment expertise. The participants exchanged practical ideas on how to optimally tailor these digital financial services to the unique Mongolian market context. This strategic dialogue represents a major step toward accelerating financial innovation and modernizing the banking sector in Mongolia. Actively. Adverb. 적극적으로, 활발히. The company is actively seeking new investors for the project. Expansion. Noun. 확장, 팽창. The retail chain announced its expansion into the European market. Lender. Noun. 대출기관, 은행. The mortgage lender required a substantial down payment. Showcase. Verb. 선보이다, 전시하다. The Tech Expo will showcase the latest gadgets and software. Cutting edge. Adjective. 최첨단의. They use cutting-edge technology to manufacture their cars. Robust. Adjective. 튼튼한, 강력한. The economy showed robust growth in the first quarter. Expertise. Noun. 전문 지식, 전문 기술. She has considerable expertise in international corporate law. Optimally. Adverb. 최적으로, 가장 알맞게. The engine is designed to run optimally on synthetic oil. Tailor. Verb. 요구, 목적에 맞게 맞추다. We can tailor our training programs to suit your specific needs. Accelerate. Verb. 가속하다, 촉진하다. The new policy is expected to accelerate economic recovery. 시사용어 해설. 디지털 뱅킹, 디지털 뱅킹. 종이 통장이나 오프라인 지점 없이 스마트폰 앱이나 인터넷만을 이용해 예금, 대출, 송금 등의 금융 업무를 언제 어디서나 처리하는 현대적인 은행 시스템입니다. 크레딧 어세스먼트, 신용평가. 은행이 고객에게 돈을 빌려주기 전에 고객의 직업, 소득, 과거 금융거래 내역 등의 데이터를 종합적으로 분석하여 돈을 제때 잘 갚을 수 있는지 평가하는 절차입니다.
CGTN 6-1. Chinese, Nepali foreign ministers hold talks in Beijing on Monday. Wang emphasized that China consistently places its relations with Nepal in a prominent position within its broader neighborhood diplomacy strategy. He reaffirmed China's unwavering support for Nepal in safeguarding its national sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity against outside pressures. In response, Kanal expressed deep gratitude for China's long-standing developmental assistance and genuine respect for equality. Furthermore, the Nepali minister firmly reiterated Nepal's commitment to the One China policy, pledging that Nepali territory would never be utilized to undermine China's core interests. Both sides eventually agreed to foster a transparent business environment to attract further cross-border investments. The two countries successfully resolved the crisis through diplomatic channels. Counterpart. Noun. 상대방. 대응하는 사람. The U.S. president met with his French counterpart in Paris. Prominent. Adjective. 중요한. 눈에 띄는. He played a prominent role in the successful election campaign. Unwavering. Adjective. 변함없는. 확고한. She thanked her supporters for their unwavering loyalty. Safeguard. Verb. 보호하다. 지키다. New laws were introduced to safeguard consumer rights. Sovereignty. Noun. 주권, 통치권. The nation declared its full sovereignty over the disputed island. Territorial. Adjective. 영토의. The prolonged war was fought over a territorial dispute. Gratitude. Noun. 감사, 감사의 마음. We would like to express our deep gratitude for your help. Reiterate. Verb. 반복하다, 거듭말하다. Territorial integrity, 영토 보전. 한 국가가 가진 국경선과 영토가 외부의 침략, 분열 조장 혹은 간섭 없이 온전하게 유지될 권리를 뜻하는 국제법상의 개념입니다. 6.2. Russia says it carried out massive strike on military sites in Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry recently claimed that its armed forces successfully executed a massive strike targeting critical military sites across Ukraine. The intense and coordinated bombardment reportedly aimed to cripple Ukraine's logistical and operational capabilities amid the protracted conflict. However, alarming reports from the ground indicate that the devastating attacks also caused severe collateral damage to civilian infrastructure. Most notably, a historic cathedral and a national film studio in Kyiv suffered heavy destruction from the relentless barrage, inciting international outrage. As both sides continue to exchange heavy fire, the humanitarian crisis deepens, leaving countless innocent civilians caught in the deadly crossfire. Vocabulary. Execute. Verb. 실행하다, 처형하다. The pilot flawlessly executed the complex flight maneuver. Bombardment. Noun. 폭격, 포격. The city was heavily damaged after days of aerial bombardment. Cripple. Verb. 몰구로 만들다, 마비시키다. The severe cyber attack crippled the hospital's computer network. Operational. Adjective. 작전에 가동 중인. The new factory is expected to be fully operational by next month. Protracted. Adjective. 오래 끄는, 장기화된. The protracted legal battle finally came to an end. Collateral. Adjective. Noun. 부수적인, 담보. The drone strike was canceled to minimize collateral damage. Infrastructure. Noun. 기반시설, 도로, 수도 등. The country needs massive investment to rebuild its infrastructure. Barrage. Noun. 집중포화, 세례. The press secretary faced a barrage of difficult questions. Outrage. Noun. 격분, 분노. The corruption scandal sparked public outrage across the country. Crossfire. Noun. 십자포화, 교차 사격. Innocent civilians were tragically caught in the crossfire. 시사용어 해설. Massive strike, 대규모 공습. 미사일, 전투기, 자폭 드론 등을 한꺼번에 대량으로 동원하여 상대방의 주요 군사기지나 에너지 시설을 초토화하는 대대적인 군사작전입니다. Collateral damage, 부수적 피해. 군사용어로서 합법적인 군사 목표물을 타격하는 과정에서 의도치 않게 발생하는 민간인의 사상자나 민간 시설의 파괴를 완곡하게 표현하는 말입니다.
6-3. Humanoid robot football match showcases advances in embodied AI. A recent humanoid robot football match in China brilliantly showcased the rapid technological advances in what researchers call embodied AI. Unlike traditional software algorithms confined to computers, embodied AI equips intelligent systems with physical bodies, allowing them to dynamically interact with the real world. During the exhibition game, the bipedal robots demonstrated impressive balance, teamwork, and real-time decision-making as they kicked the ball and navigated the turf. This technological milestone illustrates that China is aggressively pushing humanoid robots out of controlled laboratories and demonstration stages. Tech experts predict that these highly capable machines will soon transition into performing complex, real-world jobs in manufacturing, logistics, and healthcare. Vocabulary. Humanoid. Adjective/noun. 인간형이, 인간과 닮은 기계. The lab developed a new humanoid robot to assist the elderly. Brilliantly. Adverb. 눈부시게, 훌륭하게. The pianist brilliantly performed the challenging sonata. Embodied. Adjective. 구현된, 구체화된. Embodied AI refers to robots that interact with physical environments. Algorithm. Noun. 알고리즘, 연산 방식. The app uses a complex algorithm to recommend new music. Dynamically. Adverb. 역동적으로, 동적으로. The software dynamically adjusts the screen resolution. Bipedal. Adjective. 두 발로 걷는, 이족보행이. Humans and ostriches are examples of bipedal creatures. Navigate. Verb. 길을 찾다, 항해하다. The autonomous car uses sensors to safely navigate traffic. Milestone. Noun. 획기적인 사건, 이정표. The invention of the internet was a major milestone in human history. Aggressively. Adverb. 공격적으로, 적극적으로. The company is aggressively expanding into new overseas markets. Transition. Verb/noun. 전환하다, 이동. She hopes to smoothly transition from college to a full-time career. 시사 용어 해설. 휴머노이드 로봇. 머리, 몸통, 팔, 두 다리 등 인간의 신체 구조와 비슷한 형태를 가진 로봇입니다. 인간의 환경, 계단, 문손잡이, 도구 등을 개조 없이 그대로 사용할 수 있는 큰 장점이 있습니다. 체화된 인공지능. 챗GPT처럼 컴퓨터 화면 속에만 갇혀있는 AI가 아니라 로봇의 몸을 가지고 스스로 움직이며 눈앞의 물리적 환경, 물건 잡기, 넘어지지 않고 걷기 등 직접 인식하고 학습하는 AI를 말합니다.
7. NHK World Japan. 7-1. AI is taking over warfare. Where will humans draw the line? The rapid and unchecked integration of artificial intelligence into modern warfare is currently raising profound ethical and strategic questions worldwide. As military forces, particularly the US, increasingly deploy advanced AI systems to autonomously track and select enemy targets, the traditional role of humans on the battlefield is being fundamentally thrown into question. These autonomous weapon systems can process vast amounts of data and react infinitely faster than human soldiers, providing a massive tactical advantage. However, human rights advocates and ethicists warn against the existential dangers of slaughter bots, arguing forcefully that machines lack the moral judgment required for life-and-death decisions. The global community is now urgently debating where exactly to draw the line to maintain meaningful human control over lethal autonomous weapons. Vocabulary. Integration. Noun. 통합, 융합. The integration of new technology improved factory output. Profound. Adjective. 심오한, 엄청난. The scientist's discovery had a profound impact on medicine. Autonomously. Adverb. 자율적으로, 독자적으로. The drone can fly autonomously without a human pilot. Fundamentally. Adverb. 근본적으로. The internet has fundamentally changed how we shop. Infinitely. Adverb. 무한히, 엄청나게. The universe is infinitely complex and vast. Tactical. Adjective. 전술적인. The general made a brilliant tactical move during the battle. Ethicist. Noun. 윤리학자. Ethicists are debating the morality of genetic engineering. Slaughter. Noun. Verb. 토살, 대학살. The organization campaigns to end the cruel slaughter of animals. Lethal. Adjective. 치명적인, 죽음에 이르는. The snake's venom is highly lethal to humans. Draw the line. Idiom. 선을 긋다, 한계를 정하다. We must draw the line when a joke becomes an insult. 시사용어 해설. Autonomous weapon system. 자율무기 체계. 사람의 직접적인 조종이나 발사 명령 없이 기계, AI가 스스로 센서로 판단하여 표적을 찾아내고 공격까지 할 수 있는 무기. 예를 들어 스스로 판단하는 자폭 드론을 의미합니다. Meaningful human control. 의미 있는 인간의 통제. 치명적인 무기를 사용할 때 최종 방아쇠를 당기는 결정권과 법적 도덕적 책임은 기계가 아닌 반드시 사람에게 있어야 한다는 국제사회의 윤리적 가이드라인입니다. 7-2. Philippines quake death toll climbs to 37. The official death toll from a powerful earthquake that unexpectedly struck the southern Philippines has tragically climbed to at least 37. The severe seismic event inflicted massive devastation across Mindanao Island, reducing numerous buildings to rubble and completely destroying critical infrastructure, such as roads and bridges. Rescue teams are working around the clock, desperately searching through the heavy debris to locate dozens of people who are still reported missing. Frequent and unpredictable aftershocks are severely complicating the recovery efforts, putting both the trapped survivors and first responders in continuous, life-threatening danger.
Meanwhile, the national government has dispatched senior officials to oversee the emergency response and deliver vital humanitarian aid to the displaced residents. Vocabulary. toll. Noun. 희생자 수, 통행료. The death toll from the hurricane continues to rise. Seismic. Adjective. 지진해, 엄청난. The region experiences frequent seismic activity. Inflict. Verb. 고통, 타격을 가하다. The storm inflicted severe damage on the coastal town. Devastation. Noun. 대파괴, 황폐화. The war brought terrible devastation to the country. Rubble. Noun. 돌무더기, 잔해. Rescuers pulled a survivor from the rubble of the collapsed house. Desperately. Adverb. 필사적으로, 절망적으로. The doctors worked desperately to save the patient's life. Debris. Noun. 파편, 잔해. The beach was covered with debris after the tsunami. Aftershock. Noun. 요진. People slept outside in fear of another powerful aftershock. Complicate. Verb. 복잡하게 만들다. His sudden illness will complicate our travel plans. Displaced. Adjective. 난민이 된, 토전을 잃은. Thousands of displaced families are living in temporary camps. 시사 용어 해설. Death toll. 사망자 수, 희생자 수. 재난, 대형 사고, 전쟁 등에서 목숨을 잃은 사람들의 총합을 뜻하는 언론 용어입니다. 유의어. Casualty. 사망자와 부상자를 합친 사상자. First responder. 초동대응 요원, 응급구조원. 사고나 재난 발생 시 가장 먼저 현장에 도착하여 구조 및 현장 수습 업무를 수행하는 소방관, 경찰관, 구급대원 등을 통틀어 지칭하는 말입니다.
7-3. Cyberdyne's disaster prevention cyborg HAL featured. Cyberdyne's highly innovative efforts in disaster prevention, utilizing its wearable cyborg system known as HAL, were prominently featured on NHK World Japan's BOSAI program. The special television segment highlighted practical examples of HAL's application in highly demanding real-world rescue operations. By reading faint bioelectric signals from the user's muscles, the robotic suit significantly reduces the physical strain on emergency workers handling heavy debris. Recently, Japan's Fire and Disaster Management Agency officially selected a specialized slim-profile model of HAL for intense field verification. This cutting-edge cybernetics technology aims to enhance occupational safety and contribute to building a much more resilient, sustainable society during unprecedented crises. Vocabulary. Innovative. Adjective. 혁신적인. Apple is known for its highly innovative product designs. Wearable. Adjective. 착용할 수 있는. Smartwatches are the most popular type of wearable technology. Prominently. Adverb. 두드러지게. 현저히. The warning sign was displayed prominently near the entrance. Segment. Noun. 부분. 방송의 코너. 조각. We watched a news segment about the upcoming election. Demanding. Adjective. 힘든. 요구사항이 많은. Nursing is a physically and emotionally demanding job. Strain. Noun. 부담. 긴장. 무리. Lifting heavy boxes put a severe strain on his lower back. Specialized. Adjective. 전문적인. 특수화된. The hospital uses specialized equipment to treat premature babies. Verification. Noun. 확인. 검증. The software requires verification code sent to your phone. Occupational. Adjective. 직업상인. The training program focuses on occupational health and safety. Resilient. Adjective. 회복력 있는, 탄력 있는. Children are surprisingly resilient when recovering from illness. 시사 용어 해설. Wearable cyborg. 입는 사이보그, 착용형 로봇. 공상과학 영화의 아이언맨 슈트처럼 사람이 옷처럼 몸에 착용하여 부족한 근력을 기계의 힘으로 보조받거나 인간의 운동 능력을 증폭시킬 수 있는 외부 골격, 엑소스켈레톤 형태의 기계 장치입니다. Resilient society, 회복력 있는 사회. 지진, 태풍 등의 자연재해나 대형 사고 등 큰 충격이 닥쳤을 때 붕괴하지 않고 피해를 최소화하며 빠르게 원래의 정상적인 상태로 되돌아올 수 있는 사회적 방어 시스템을 뜻합니다. Number 8. AlJazeera.com. Number 8.1. Stock markets soar. Oil falls as US-Iran confirm deal. Stock markets across the Asia-Pacific region soared dramatically following the much-welcomed announcement of a peace framework to end the United States military conflict with Iran. As the severe threat of oil supply disruptions faded, global crude oil prices predictably took a sharp tumble. In Monday morning trading, Japan's Nikkei 225 index jumped 5.5%, while South Korea's Kospi surged by an impressive 5.7%, reflecting widespread investor relief. Financial analysts noted that the sudden drop in oil prices would provide significant breathing room to global central banks currently grappling with stubborn inflation. Consequently, all market eyes are now eagerly turning to the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is scheduled to decide on interest rates later this week. Vocabulary. soar, verb, 급등하다, 치솟다. House prices soared to record levels this year. Disruption, noun, 붕괴, 중단, 차질. The snowstorm caused major disruptions to flight schedules. Fade, verb, 희미해지다, 사라지다. Hopes of finding survivors began to fade as darkness fell. Predictably, adverb, 예상대로. Predictably, the unpopular tax hike led to public protests. Tumble, noun, verb, 폭락, 굴러떨어지다. The stock market experienced a severe tumble on Monday. Surge, verb, noun, 급증하다, 밀려들다. Online sales surged during the holiday season. Relief, noun, 안도, 다행, 구호. Breathing a sigh of relief, she handed in her final exam. Grapple, with, verb, 와 씨름하다, 고심하다. The government is grappling with a massive budget deficit. Stubborn, adjective, 고집스러운, 없애기 힘든. The stubborn stain on my shirt just won't wash out. Eagerly, adverb, 열렬히, 간절히. The children waited eagerly for the magician's next trick. 시사용어 해설. Federal Reserve, Fed, 연방준비제도. 미국의 중앙은행 체제입니다. 이곳에서 기준금리를 올리고 내리는 정책 결정이 전 세계의 주식, 환율, 대출이자 등에 엄청난 나비 효과를 미칩니다. Inflation, inflation. 물가가 지속적으로 오르면서 돈, 화폐의 가치가 떨어지는 현상입니다. 기름값이 오르면 물건을 생산하고 운반하는 비용이 늘어나 인플레이션이 심해지지만 반대로 기름값이 내리면 물가 잡기가 한결 수월해집니다. 8-2. Russian attacks in Ukraine kill 9, damage historic Kyiv Cathedral. A deadly and unprovoked barrage of Russian airstrikes across Ukraine has killed at least 9 people, including several heroic rescue workers. The massive attack sparked a devastating fire at a centuries-old monastic complex, famous for its iconic golden domes, situated in the very heart of Kyiv. Furthermore, the nearby National Film Studios were heavily damaged, destroying an irreplaceable repository containing roughly 100,000 historical garments. Metropolitan Epiphanius I fiercely condemned the deliberate targeting of the cathedral, calling it a blatant crime against humanity, against history, and against Christianity. This relentless destruction clearly exposes the severe and heartbreaking human and cultural toll exacted by this continuing war. Vocabulary. Deadly, adjective, 치명적인, 목숨을 앗아가는. The virus is highly contagious and potentially deadly. Heroic, adjective, 영웅적인, 용감불상한. The firefighters made a heroic effort to save the trapped family. Iconic, adjective, 상징적인. The Eiffel Tower is an iconic landmark of Paris. Irreplaceable, adjective, 대체할 수 없는. The museum houses irreplaceable artifacts from ancient Egypt. Repository, noun, 저장소, 보관소. The library acts as a vast repository of historical documents. Garment, noun, 의류, 옷. She wore a beautiful silk garment to the traditional festival. Fiercely, adverb, 맹렬하게, 사납게. The proposal was fiercely opposed by the opposition party. Condemn, verb, 규탄하다, 비난하다. The international community condemned the terrorist attack. Deliberate, adjective, 고의적인, 의도적인. It was a deliberate attempt to sabotage the negotiations. Relentless, adjective, 무자비한, 끈질긴.
The team faced relentless pressure from their opponents. 시사 용어 해설. 에어스트라이크, 공습, 전투기, 폭격기, 무인 드론, 미사일 등을 이용하여 공중에서 적의 지상 군사시설이나 도시를 타격하는 전술입니다. Crime against humanity, 반인륜 범죄, 인도에 반하는 죄. 전쟁이나 무력 분쟁 중 전투원뿐만 아니라 민간인을 대상으로 한 살해, 학살, 고문 등 인간의 기본적 존엄성을 심각하게 파괴하는 대규모 범죄 행위로 국제형사재판의 주요 대상이 됩니다.
8-3. Iran vs. New Zealand live. World Cup 2026. Iran kicked off its 2026 World Cup campaign against New Zealand in Los Angeles, blending the spirit of sports with intense geopolitical drama. The highly anticipated match took place under a politically charged atmosphere, occurring just hours after a historic peace deal was agreed to end the war between Iran and the host nation, the U.S. Because of security concerns and severe logistical hurdles, the Iranian team arrived on American soil merely 36 hours before kickoff. In the stands, passionate Iranian spectators unveiled banners paying heartfelt tribute to the innocent victims of a bombed girls' school in southern Iran. Ultimately, the emotional event proved that the road to the World Cup for Team Melli was about much more than just football. Vocabulary. Kickoff. Phrasal verb. 시작하다, 축구의 kick-off. The music festival will kick off on Friday evening. Blend. Verb. 섞다, 혼합하다. The chef blended several spices to create a unique flavor. Geopolitical. Adjective. 지정학적인. The region is experiencing intense geopolitical instability. Atmosphere. Noun. 대기, 분위기. The restaurant has a very relaxed and romantic atmosphere. Hurdle. Noun. 장애물, 곤란. Lack of funding was the biggest hurdle to starting the business. Merely. Adverb. 단지. 그저 뭐뭐에 불과한. He is not merely a colleague, but a very close friend. Spectator. Noun. 관중, 구경꾼. The stadium was packed with thousands of cheering spectators. Unveil. Verb. 덮개를 벗기다, 발표하다. The tech company unveiled its new smartphone today. Heartfelt. Adjective. 진심 어린. She offered her heartfelt apologies for the mistake. Ultimately. Adverb. 궁극적으로, 결국. Ultimately, the decision is yours to make. 시사 용어 해설. geopolitical, 지정학적인. 지리적 위치가 국가의 정치, 경제, 외교, 군사에 미치는 거대한 영향을 다루는 말입니다. 월드컵이 열리는 장소, 미국과 참가국, 이란의 특수한 적대 및 휴전 관계 때문에 지정학적 드라마라는 수식어가 쓰였습니다. 로지스티컬, 물류의 수송에. 스포츠 행사나 군사작전에서 인원이나 물자를 이동시키고 숙소를 배정하는 등의 물리적 지원 작업 전반을 뜻합니다. 비행기편 마련, 숙소 예약, 비자 발급 등. 9. CBC Canada. 9-1. Labor groups slam Senate suggestion aimed to avoid job action. Canadian labor leaders are fiercely speaking out against a recent controversial report issued by the Senate of Canada. The report explicitly suggests that the federal government should adopt stringent new rules to automatically prevent sudden work stoppages at critical national ports and on railways. While conservative politicians argue that such strikes paralyze the economy and severely disrupt vital supply chains, unions view the suggestion as a direct assault on workers' fundamental rights. Labor groups slammed the idea, arguing that removing the threat of job action destroys their leverage in collective bargaining. The escalating tension clearly highlights the delicate balancing act between protecting national economic interests and respecting constitutional labor rights. Vocabulary. Slam. Verb. 쾅 닫다, 맹 비난하다. The newspaper slammed the mayor for his reckless spending. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The umpire made a controversial call during the baseball game. Explicitly. Adverb. 명시적으로, 분명하게. The manual explicitly states that the device must be kept dry. Stringent. Adjective. 엄격한, 엄중한. The new hygiene regulations are much more stringent. Stoppage. Noun. 중단, 파업. The workers organized a work stoppage to protest low wages. Paralyze. Verb. 마비시키다. A massive snowstorm paralyzed the entire transportation system. Vital. Adjective. 필수적인, 생명과 직결된. Water is vital for the survival of all living creatures. Assault. Noun. 폭행, 공격. The enemy launched a fierce assault on the military base. Leverage. Noun. 영향력, 지렛대. The union used the threat of a strike as leverage in negotiations. Collective bargaining. Noun. 단체 교섭. The union and management resolved the issue through collective bargaining. Job action. 쟁의 행위, 파업. 근로자들이 근로조건 개선을 요구하거나 사측에 항의하기 위해 집단으로 업무를 거부하거나 태업을 하는 등 노동조합법상 보호받는 행동 전체를 묶어서 부르는 단어입니다. 서플라이 체인지, 공급망. 원자재 생산부터 공장 제조, 기차나 배를 통한 운송, 최종 소비자에게 도달하기까지의 전체 물류 네트워크를 말합니다. 항만이나 화물철도 파업은 이 공급망을 완전히 끊어버려 국가 경제에 막대한 피해를 줄 수 있습니다. 9.2. Norway Crown Princess's son sentenced to 4 years in prison. Marius Borg Høiby, the eldest son of Norway's Crown Princess Mette-Marit, has been sentenced to 4 years in prison following a highly publicized rape conviction. The 29-year-old, who holds no official royal title but grew up in the palace, faced a total of 40 criminal charges, including sexual assault, severe domestic violence, and drug-related offenses. After a rigorous 6-week trial, the Oslo District Court firmly found him guilty of 2 counts of rape and multiple lesser offenses, such as blatantly violating restraining orders. Høiby watched the formal reading of the verdict via video link from prison due to reported health reasons. The scandalous case has severely tarnished the reputation of the Norwegian royal family, generating intense international media attention. Vocabulary. Sentence. Verb/noun. 선고하다. 형벌. The judge sentenced the thief to 3 years in prison. Conviction. Noun. 유죄 판결. 확신. His previous conviction for theft made it hard to find a job. Severe. Adjective. 극심한, 심각한. The hurricane caused severe damage to the coastal towns. Domestic violence. Noun. 가정폭력. Shelters provide a safe place for victims of domestic violence. Offense. Offense. Noun. 범죄, 위반 행위. Driving without a valid license is a serious traffic offense. Rigorous. Adjective. 철저한, 엄격한. The athletes undergo a rigorous training program every day. Restraining order. Noun. 접근 금지 명령. She obtained a restraining order to keep her stalker away. Verdict. Noun. 평결, 판결. The jury reached a guilty verdict after 2 days of deliberation. Scandalous. Adjective. 수치스러운, 추잡한. The politician was forced to resign over a scandalous affair. Tarnish. Verb. 명성 등을 더럽히다, 손상시키다. The corruption allegations permanently tarnished his reputation. 시사 용어 해설. count. 법률 용어로서의 혐의, 건. 재판에서 검사가 기소한 개별적인 범죄 혐의 항목을 세는 단위입니다. two counts of rape는 피해자나 발생 시간이 다른 두 번의 독립적인 강간 사건에 대해 죄를 물었다는 뜻입니다. verdict, 평결, 판결. 배심원단이나 판사가 형사재판 끝에 피고인이 유죄, guilty인지 무죄, not guilty인지 최종적으로 내리는 법적 결정을 말합니다.
9.3. Women with traumatic brain injury less likely to receive trauma care. A recent comprehensive medical study conducted in Ontario reveals a highly concerning gender disparity in emergency healthcare access. Researchers found that women suffering from traumatic brain injury, TBI, are 26% less likely to be admitted for specialized trauma care compared to their male counterparts. Over an 11-year period, medical data clearly showed that despite sustaining similar life-altering injuries, men were consistently prioritized for admission to advanced trauma centers. Health experts emphasize that this glaring disparity raises serious questions regarding unconscious bias embedded within emergency medical triage systems. Advocates are urgently calling for systemic reforms to ensure that all patients receive equitable, specialized treatment, regardless of gender. Vocabulary. Traumatic. Adjective. 외상성애, 대단히 충격적인. He suffered a traumatic brain injury in the car accident. Disparity. Noun. 차이, 불균형, 격차. There is a growing wealth disparity between the rich and poor. Admit. Verb. 입원시키다, 인정하다. She was admitted to the hospital with a high fever. Specialized. Adjective. 전문화된, 특수화된. The clinic offers specialized care for diabetic patients. Sustain. Verb. 입다, 지속하다. The building sustained minor damage during the earthquake. Life-altering. Adjective. 삶을 바꿔놓는, 중대한. Winning the lottery was a life-altering experience for the family. Prioritize. Verb. 우선순위를 매기다. Doctors must prioritize patients who need immediate surgery. Unconscious. Adjective. 무의식적인, 의식을 잃은. Unconscious bias can affect hiring decisions in companies. Equitable. Adjective. 공평한, 정당한. Everyone deserves an equitable opportunity to succeed. Regardless of. Preposition. 뭐뭐에 상관없이. We will hire the best candidate regardless of age or gender. Triage. 트리아지, 환자 분류. 응급실이나 재난 현장에서 환자들의 부상 정도와 생존 가능성을 신속하게 평가하여 누구를 먼저 가장 좋은 의료 자원으로 치료할지 우선순위를 결정하는 체계적인 의료 시스템입니다. Unconscious bias. 무의식적 편견. 사람의 의식적인 이성적 생각과는 달리 자기도 모르게 특정 성별, 인종, 직업 등에 대해 가지고 있는 고정관념이나 차별적인 태도를 뜻합니다. 이 경우 남성의 뇌 손상이 여성의 뇌 손상보다 더 심각한 것이다 라는 편견이 작용했을 수 있습니다. 10. DD India. 10-1. India and Slovakia sign MOUs, agree to establish JWG on counterterrorism. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico held comprehensive bilateral talks in Bratislava, marking a historic and highly successful moment for India-Slovakia relations. The two leaders firmly agreed to establish a joint working group, JWG, specifically focused on counterterrorism, calling for united global efforts to eradicate cross-border terrorist activities. To cement their newly elevated comprehensive partnership, they officially exchanged several memorandums of understanding, MOUs, spanning diverse fields. These agreements cover vital areas such as digital technologies, safe labor migration, and scientific research collaboration between academic institutions. PM Modi confidently highlighted that the upcoming India-EU Free Trade Agreement will further inject momentum into their flourishing bilateral ties. Vocabulary. Comprehensive. Adjective. 포괄적인, 종합적인. The government released a comprehensive plan to tackle pollution. Bilateral. Adjective. 쌍무적인, 양자 간의.
The two nations signed a new bilateral trade agreement. Firmly. Adverb. 단호하게, 굳게. He firmly refused to accept the bribe. Eradicate. Verb. 근절하다, 뿌리 뽑다. The Global Health Initiative aims to eradicate polio. Cross-border. Adjective. 국경을 넘는, 초국경에. Cross-border trade is essential for the region's economy. Cement. Verb. 관계를 결속시키다, 굳게 하다. The successful project helped to cement their partnership. Span. Verb. 걸치다, 포괄하다. His impressive career spans over 4 decades. Collaboration. Noun. 협력, 공동작업. The research was conducted in collaboration with a local university. Inject. Verb. 주입하다, 불어넣다. The central bank will inject more cash into the economy. Flourishing. Adjective. 번창하는, 잘 자라는. The city boasts a flourishing arts and culture scene. 시사용어 해설. JWG. Joint Working Group. 공동실무 그룹. 두 국가 정부나 기관이 특정 문제, 대테러, 마약, 사이버 보안을 전문적으로 해결하기 위해 양국의 실무자급 전문가들을 모아 구성하는 상설 협의체입니다. MOU. Memorandum of Understanding. 양해각서. 정식으로 법적 구속력을 가지는 조약, treaty를 맺기 전에 양측이 원칙적으로 합의한 큰 틀의 내용을 문서로 남기는 예비 계약적 성격의 외교 문서입니다.
10-2. India chair on AI to be set up in a Slovakian university. In a significant technological stride for both nations, India and Slovakia have officially agreed to set up the first ever India Chair on Artificial Intelligence at a leading university in Slovakia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi proudly announced this academic initiative during his historic state visit, emphasizing that advanced technology forms a critical pillar of their future partnership. Located at the prestigious Technical University of Košice, this dedicated academic chair will effectively facilitate joint research and academic exchanges in cutting-edge digital fields. Modi clearly articulated that AI must serve as a powerful tool to advance humanity, stressing the absolute necessity of prioritizing ethical considerations in its rapid development. The digital technology MOU signed between the nations aims to unlock new avenues in developing digital public infrastructure globally. Vocabulary. Stride. Noun. 진전, 큰 걸음. The country has made great strides in improving education. Initiative. Noun. 계획, 주도권. The government launched a new initiative to reduce plastic waste. Pillar. Noun. 기둥, 핵심적인 부분. Freedom of the press is a core pillar of democracy. Facilitate. Verb. 촉진하다, 용이하게 하다. The new airport will facilitate faster travel and trade. Cutting edge. Adjective. 최첨단의. The laboratory is equipped with cutting-edge medical devices. Articulate. Verb. 명확하게 설명하다. She was able to articulate her complex feelings very clearly. Humanity. Noun. 인류, 인간성. We must work together to tackle climate change for the sake of humanity. Necessity. Noun. 필요성, 필수품. Water is a basic necessity for all living organisms. Prioritize. Verb. 우선순위를 매기다. The CEO decided to prioritize customer satisfaction over profits. Avenue. Noun. 길, 방안. Exploring new energy sources will open up new avenues for growth. 시사용어 해설. Academic chair, 석좌 교수직, chair. 대학에서 특정 학문 분야를 집중적으로 연구하기 위해 기업, 억만장자 개인 또는 타국가의 펀딩, 후원을 받아 개설하는 매우 권위 있는 교수 직위입니다. 인디아 체어는 인도 정부의 재정적, 행정적 지원으로 운영되는 직위를 의미합니다. Digital Public Infrastructure, 디지털 공공 인프라. 국민 누구나 차별 없이 사용할 수 있는 국가적인 디지털 시스템, 예를 들어 모바일 전자신분증, 디지털 결제망, 정부 복지 포털 등입니다. 10-3. India's total exports crossed $162 billion in April-May period. India's vibrant export sector is currently experiencing robust growth, with the total exports of goods and services crossing an impressive US $162.69 billion during the April-May 2026-27 period. According to detailed data officially released by the Ministry of Commerce, this enormous figure represents a solid 14.66% year-on-year increase. Economists generally attribute this exceptionally strong performance to India's expanding domestic manufacturing capabilities and the strategic realignment of global supply chains favoring Indian markets. The export surge clearly highlights the success of the government's recent trade policies and structural reforms aimed at boosting the Make in India initiative. As global demand steadily recovers, India's resilient economic trajectory continues to build immense confidence among both domestic and international investors. Vocabulary: robust, adjective, 탄탄한, 튼튼한. The company reported a robust increase in quarterly profits. Impressive, adjective, 인상적인, 감탄할 만한. The athlete finished the marathon in an impressive time. Year-on-year, adverb, adjective, 전년 대비. Sales grew by 10% year-on-year in the final quarter. Attribute A to B, verb phrase, A 결과를 B 원인의 덕으로 돌리다. He attributes his success to hard work and determination. Realignment, noun, 재편, 재조정. The merger caused a major realignment in the telecom industry. Favor, verb, 호의를 보이다, 유리하게 하다. The current tax laws tend to favor large corporations. Surge, noun, 급증. There has been a massive surge in online shopping this month. Structural, adjective, 구조적인. The IMF demanded structural reforms to fix the struggling economy. Resilient, adjective, 회복력 있는, 탄력 있는. The local community proved to be incredibly resilient after the flood. Trajectory, noun, 궤도, 궤적. The missile's trajectory was carefully monitored by the radar. Year-on-year, YOY, 전년 동기 대비. 올해의 특정 달이나 분기 실적을 작년의 똑같은 달이나 분기 실적과 1대1로 비교하는 경제 용어입니다. 계절적 요인, 여름 휴가철 특수, 연말 쇼핑 시즌 등을 배제하고 정확한 실제 성장을 파악하기 위해 주로 씁니다. Structural reforms, 구조 개혁. 국가 경제나 기업의 체질을 겉핥기식이 아니라 근본적으로 바꾸기 위해 법률, 노동시장, 규제, 조세제도 등을 대대적으로 뜯어고치는 정책을 뜻합니다.